Renewed optimism about hazard pay as all viewers of the Purple Power continue to focus on the Romney plan. Incredible standalone bill. It's actually a standalone bill. It's not a faux standalone bill. It's actually a standalone bill that would give you hazard pay, despite all the rimming, whatever you call that thing that these people are doing in the White House and Congress. So why doesn't Mitt Romney get his bill to the finish line? Hi, why not? Come on, Mitt. It's so obvious. It's so apparent. But despite the Romney plan, there is some hazard pay-ish grants that's in the deal offers from Steve Mnuchin. Oh, they're incredibly good. They're incredibly great. And this is all incredibly good afternoon news on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Renewed optimism today about your second stimulus check and stimulus package. This is Afternoons LA. Thank you for tuning in. We have incredible, great news this afternoon about the progress for your second stimulus check and stimulus package. And, of course, also about hazard pay, the namesake of this channel. This is this recording and EIDL. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, because I'm trying to find you money. And in this recording, I'll be going over where that money is. And also, like this video. We're trying to approach 300,000 subscribers. And I think we can get there pretty soon. So let's get there. Tell your cat, your llama, your dog, and your alpaca. And I now have a parakeet watching this video as well every day. So I appreciate that. In this video, I'll be going over hazard pay. But a continuation of check, more about those deal items. I will be going over those incredible deal items from an incredibly great offer from Steve Mnuchin. It was a really good offer. And despite that, all the naysayers from the Temple of Doom, you know, the bats and the dragons, there's actually some really good stuff in this deal offer. And so I'll be going over the deal offer. Additionally, I will be going over why Americans are really reacting negatively to this ambush by the airlines to really get ahead of you for second stimulus. Third, we'll be detailing in this video why the hotels are starting to jump in and get ahead of you as well. Next, PPP. Why has PPP suddenly taken such a front and center and caused a lot of viewers a lot of problems? I'll be detailing that twist, and finally Romney. All right, let me get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that Steve Mnuchin's offer on Friday had hazard pay-ish provisions in there. Grants for frontline workers, grants for non-frontline workers, money for you, stimulus checks, enhanced unemployment benefits. It was all really good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm first going to go over everything that's really good in the bill. First, it included an employee retention tax credit of $91 billion, $10 billion for postal services, $25 billion for childcare, incredibly great, $15 billion for food assistance, $25 billion for student loan forgiveness, $150 billion for education, for testing, tracing, vaccine, and healthcare providers, $175 billion, PPP loans 330. Minority lending, $10 billion, that should be more. Airlines, 20 stimulus checks, $1,200 for adults and $1,000 for child. Really great. Liability protection for businesses and unemployment assistance, $400 a week through the third week of January, retroactive to September 12th. State and local, $300 billion, and broadband, $15 billion. Now is the time for us to come together and immediately vote on a bill that allows us to spend the unused Paycheck Protection Program funds while we continue to work towards a comprehensive package. The all-or-nothing approach is an unacceptable response to the American people. It is. And as you sit here today, what's important to understand is that this is a stimulus package, a package that has a lot of stuff in there. But if you're tuned in and you're wondering, well, how about hazard pay? Well, you have a standalone hazard pay bill. It's called the Romney plan. It was introduced in May, and it's still there. And so the Purple Power, do your thing. Push Romney to get his hazard pay bill to a vote. It's on the Senate floor, and it can be put to a vote on October 18th when they reopen. It will require employers to get your hazard pay. So if you worked as a frontline worker from January to the present, you would get hazard pay. If you worked as a driver, Uber, Lyft, you would get hazard pay. If you worked as a truck driver, you would get hazard pay. If you worked as a pharmacist or a nurse or a physical therapist or anyone like that, you would get hazard pay. Grocery hazard pay. Anyone in the grocery store, anyone in a liquor store, anyone in, security or maintenance or cleaning services, you get a hazard pay. This is all incredibly great news. It will require the employer to get the money for you, pay the employer to get the money for you, set up a fund in the federal coffers, funded by Treasury, to give you hazard pay based upon the number of hours you work from the pandemic up to the present. Really incredible great news. So why are we not talking about this? Remember, this is a Republican who wrote this. It's in the Senate, and the Senate can be given a really lot of bad names, and Republican senators can be given a lot of bad names, but this is in the Senate from a Republican. Get this to a vote come October. Now, here's the other twist and turns this Monday afternoon. People versus airlines. I got to tell you, everyone is just really sick and tired of the darn airlines. The viewers of this channel are just, and even Steve Mnuchin, when asked about the airlines last week, he says, well, they call me every day. And he said with a smirk, like, you're calling too much. Well, ultimately, he didn't even propose for the airlines what they wanted. They wanted $28 billion. He's not even proposing that $20 billion. And even more disrespectful to the airlines was that Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi did not even respect their own deadline of October 1st for the airlines, for their furlough deadline to lay people off. They just, let the deadline pass, and now the airlines are like, what do we do? Well, the viewers of this channel really don't care about the airlines, and this is ironic. And again, this is opinion right now. After years of airlines treating travelers really disrespectfully, overcharging travelers for every overpriced item they could do. You walk on the plane, you check your bag, there's no sky caps. Now you go in, you have to carry your 3 bags. Suddenly there's an extra bag fee of $250, and then your bag is 1 pound over the limit, and you have to pay an additional $150. Then you go on a plane, and the seats are small, and you got to pay an extra $1 for chips, and then you sit on the plane, you have to pay an extra $1 for headphones. Oh, and there's no music, and there's no film, and if you want some extra ice in your drink, or there's no $12 ice cream, you have to pay $5 for that. After all those years of nickeling, diming the American people are saying, you know what? It's sort of karma. Airlines are not getting a good response from the American voters, and especially the viewers of this channel, after years of treating American people with disrespect. And now when they say, hey, we need stimulus, we're in trouble, well, guess what? You treated us like crap all those years, and, get behind us. Another one is the hotels. Where did they come from? Yeah, the hotels are in there. Lodging, $20 billion. They were never in the stimulus packages. Now, there's a lot of reports out from hotels this week that says, well, we're going to go bankrupt. A lot of hotels are not making their mortgages, and a lot of hotels are going under. Well, you wonder, again, opinion, you wonder, a lot of these hotels that used to be $120 a night suddenly thought, oh, I think we can charge $250. We can just charge $220, and we can charge an extra late fee, an extra check-in fee, an extra late checkout fee, and we can charge you an extra coffee fee, and an extra iron fee, an extra bed fee. And after years of really also not treating Americans well, the hospitality industry is not getting the benefit of the lip discussion either. Viewers of the channel really think, hotels, you've been overcharging us for years. You've been treating us with disrespect, late cancellation fees, early checkout fees. Everything was a fee for you. Well, guess what? Get behind us. Everyone, airlines, get behind us. Hotels, get behind us. It's ironic because these people, and this turns me to the next subject, have gotten PPP. The real problem as you sit here today when we talk about hazard pay, we talk about stimulus checks, and we talk about all this, is that your stimulus checks are being held up by 3 letters. P. You should be getting multiple stimulus checks. $2,000 every month for 6 months until the pandemic improves, until unemployment goes down. Sanders plan. You should be getting multiple stimulus checks. Even if you don't want to co-sign that bill, there was a bill that the Temple of Doom was involved with called the CARES Act. Remember that? Ever heard of that? The CARES Act? Ever heard of that thing? Well, there was supposed to be a check for the month of March, April, May, June. We knew we were going to be on lockdown from at least March to May at the very beginning. And they're like, okay, well, you know what we'll do is we'll take out the checks and we'll just put one check in and we'll get to it later. They didn't get it to it later. You know what they got to later? And I haven't talked about it a lot on this channel, so I want to explain this to you. It's very important. They got to PPP. Now, while these recordings always are called second stimulus, it's not really second stimulus. It's actually fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus. Because there was a first stimulus, the CARES Act, and then there was PPP, and then another PPP, and another PPP, and another PPP, and another PPP. There was so much PPP that everyone was just, the lavatories were filled up. It just never stopped. And every single time, it was hundreds of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. Well, the problem we have here today, as we sit here with Mnuchin's new plan, is that the numbers are really good, but in there is the biggest number, $330 billion for PPP. It's the biggest number on this entire list. In fact, nothing on this list has that many zeros, with the exception of state and local, which is, every state across the country. I can understand that. But $330 billion for PPP, because this is the sixth time, or I don't even remember how many times it is. It's not the first time they've had PPP. It's too many times. And what's also disconcerting here is that you should be having multiple checks, and we should not be having PPP every single time we breathe. And what's also disconcerting is really this, and this is actually co-signed by the White House, is that they do these PPP programs, and they put a lot of money into them. Then they go live, and then no one wants them. And so then suddenly it's like, okay, it's $330 for PPP, and then you come back 3 months from now, and they've only used 30 of them. There's still 300 sitting around that no one wants, because a lot of people don't want PPP. And so what happens to that $300 billion? It goes nowhere. And so yesterday, an incredible letter, which I detailed earlier, I'm not going to do it again, written by the White House, said, you know what, we need to reallocate this money. Now is the time for us to come together and immediately vote on a bill to allow us to spend the unused PPP funds so we can, going forward. Okay, they want to use the unused PPP money for other purposes. And then in the same breath, they want to do another round of PPP at $330 billion. Earth to Mars. How about you stop doing PPP? How about you start doing this amount of PPP instead of doing this amount of PPP every time? And ultimately, this is the problem when you talk about your stimulus checks, is that your stimulus checks, you should be getting bigger stimulus checks. You should be getting multiple stimulus checks. And that the fact that you're not is because there's so much money being spent on something that's getting too much money, PPP, that people will not use all the money for, that will expire again with unused money. And ultimately, we're like, well, that second stimulus package we did in October was really big. No, it had a lot of PPP money that people didn't use. It's times like this you wonder who's running the government. You realize the first time you do PPP when there's money left over, and you could have been using that for stimulus checks. You could have been using that for FPUC at $700 a week, $800 a week. You could have been using that for $10,000 hazard pay. When you do this the first time and there's extra PPP money around, what do? You don't do it the next time. Oh no, this is Congress. We do it again, and we'll do it 4 more times. We'll keep on throwing lots of money onto PPP, so ultimately people never get the stimulus that they need, and so ultimately there's a lot of PPP sitting around in a bank account that no one ever gets. People don't want all this PPP. They want a stimulus check. They want multiple stimulus checks. They want more FPUC. Why does the purple guy in the purple shirt is the only one that seems to understand this with all his viewers? And everyone in Congress, everyone's like, oh, we need some more PPP. Well, you don't need $330 billion of it. This is how much stimulus checks you need. This is how much FPUC. This is how much PPP you need. And you need some hazard pay. Hence this video. Now, EIDL and EIDL grants, okay, it's the same agency, SBA, and SBA doesn't want to give you EIDL loans with no cap. So I had a lot of viewers that qualified for bigger EIDL loans, big EIDL loans. They wouldn't give them to me because we have a cap because we don't have a lot of money. You know why you don't have a lot of money? Because it's over in PPP. How about that $10,000 EIDL grant that we could be getting all these viewers this channel? No, because it's all over in PPP. How about more EIDL grants? No, because it's all over in PPP. Every time I hear PPP, it just makes me squirm. And needless to say, I recorded a PPP on the very first day of this channel, and to this day, I still don't understand who and why these people always want to talk about so much money for PPP. Let me go over some incredible comments from yesterday. Tiki Laquette, she has no intentions of accepting any deal. Nancy. Carol, I'm going to make a move to Canada. Turnover events. Nancy Pelosi should be ashamed of herself. Lee, I've been toasted, just buttered, and I don't get stimulus relief. Christina, Nancy wouldn't agree to it, even if it gave her what she wanted to begin with. Patricia, Nancy Pelosi doesn't care about the American people. Tony Tiger, get her out of Congress. Trisha, what makes this worse is that the president's openly stated he can help, but has chosen not to. Mike Vernon, why does President Trump play games? TK Lanute, it's not his job. It is his job. He chose ownership of it. Linda Blackburn, no matter what matter, Nancy was never going to do a deal for anyone. Carol, they're all liars. Justice, do it now. JP, we won't have to worry about this once the elections are announced, because either way, it's going to be complete mayhem. Stimulus will be the least of their problems. Wait and see. That's negative. We don't do negative here. Christina, she never intended to do it. Patricia, I think Congress is all about cahoots. Richard, with all the absentee ballots and early voting, it may already be too late. JR, we need to take Nancy and help her realize. Crypto Angel, I've incurred a lot of debt to survive the economic hardship. We need stimulus. Amen. If you've not, go to the front of the channel, subscribe, because, boy, there's a lot of twists and turns. I'm trying to find you money. I'm trying to find you money across the board. Also, use the benefit of the delegates. Go on Twitter. Look for your state delegates. These are self-appointed individuals who are part of the grassroots efforts of the Purple Power. These are Purple Power delegates who may help you find hazard pay grants that went local live in your area just today. And if you find something, don't inherently just tweet it or send it to me in DM. Tweet it to other people on Twitter so they see it as well. Someone announced a very good grant program to me on, I think it was in San Jose. So I really appreciate that, but also share the information with others. Also, like this video. Coming up next is McConnell versus Trump with great news about FPUC. And then after that is Pelosi versus Mnuchin with renewed optimism for second stimulus negotiations to get a deal done. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay alive for more.